The Galaxy S23 Ultra has been one of the most anticipated Samsung flagship phones of 2023, and it's not surprising because it is a sequel to last year's Galaxy S22 Ultra, which was an excellent phone. Now the Galaxy S23 Ultra is here, and the promise of the best, most consistent and ambitious S-series flagship experience yet, using the new 200 megapixel main camera and the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy chipset, which has been optimized specifically for Samsung's new flagship phones, and it's the only chip being used. What's been our experience living with the S23 Ultra? Hi, Ben from Sam Mobile. If you enjoy new and exclusive videos like this, then be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos on YouTube with Sam Mobile TV. Here's our full experience review of the Galaxy S23 Ultra. At first glance, the S23 Ultra is no different than the S22 Ultra as far as the design is concerned. It has the same rectangular shape instead of the curves the Galaxy S series phones tend to have, thanks to the S Pen. It's when you pick it up for the first time that you realize that Samsung hasn't actually left everything unchanged. As stated in my early hands-on, once you hold the S23 Ultra, you really feel what's different. That's down to the thicker metal frame on the sides, with Samsung reducing the screen's curve and also the curve at the back to make the metal frame thicker than before. The thicker side of the frame makes the phone feel more solid and strong, which is a good thing, even though using a case is still recommended, unless you're part of the brave who want to use the phone without a case. As for the rest of the design, things are pretty much similar to that of the Galaxy S22 Ultra. The rear cameras are still placed individually, although the size of the camera rings has sure increased ever so slightly. Samsung has upgraded the Gorilla Glass Victus found on the Galaxy S22 Ultra to Gorilla Glass Victus 2, but it's not something you can feel when actually using the device. All in all, Samsung have made just the right design improvements without changing the overall look and feel, which is something we support. We just hope Samsung will actually stick to this design language for a few more years instead of just changing things up for the sake of it. The Galaxy S23 Ultra looks premium and definitely feels premium, and is even more worthy of the Ultra name it carries. The Galaxy S23 Ultra has the same 6.8-inch 120Hz dynamic 2x AMOLED display as its predecessor. The maximum resolution goes up to 1440p QHD+, and the max brightness is still 1750 nits. And like the phone's design, the fact that the display is still the same as last year should not impact your purchase decision. That's because Samsung's S23 Ultra has an awesome display with rich colors, brightness levels that will never disappoint, wide viewing angles, and a refresh rate that can drop as low as 1 Hz to reduce battery consumption. The S23 Ultra also has the least amount of curves on the screen's edges, which should help when using the S Pen and also decrease the chances of the display shattering if you drop it. At this point, we might see the company switching to a completely flat display for future Galaxy S series Ultra devices. We hope it doesn't, however, as the current curve strikes actually a very good balance for those that like a curved display and also a more flat display experience. The Galaxy S23 Ultra is the second Galaxy S series flagship phone with an S Pen built into the body. It's on the left side, just like what we saw on the S22 Ultra, and it works well, just like it did before. Everything from the S Pen's latency to the features still remain the same, as the S Pen has pretty much remained mostly unchanged. We still actually highly recommend visiting sammobile.com for our previous review on the S Pen. Since the Galaxy S23 Ultra doesn't come with headphones in the box, the stereo speakers on the device itself is what we will actually be testing and judging. It was not surprising to find it hard to really differentiate between the speakers on the S23 Ultra versus the S22 Ultra, except for a slightly higher volume. You're getting more or less pretty much the same quality speakers on the S23 Ultra with the stereo speaker setup, with a slightly more fuller sound, especially when Dolby Atmos is enabled. The Galaxy S23 Ultra is rather unique as far as the cameras are concerned. It's the first Galaxy phone with a 200 megapixel main camera, but that 200 megapixel camera is paired with two 10 megapixel zoom cameras and a 12 megapixel ultra wide with improved autofocus for closer macro shots and a new 12 megapixel front facing camera. Basically, the difference in megapixel count between the main camera and the other cameras is huge. In any case, on the camera quality, the 200 megapixel main camera, like Samsung's 108 megapixel camera from before, uses pixel binning. It combines 16 adjacent megapixels into one super pixel to produce, effectively, 12 megapixel shots in the default photo shooting mode. You can, however, shoot in both 50 megapixel and 200 megapixel full resolution if you desire, although just going with the default is probably the best idea in most scenarios because the default photo mode handles exposure better and is faster to capturing pictures. Photos during the day can pretty much feel very close to the previous S22 Ultra, although the S23 Ultra does handle shadow details in most scenes much better. It also gives you sharper details on things like text, even when shooting in the default 12 megapixel mode, but it's something you really have to zoom into to pretty much notice. As for the zoom cameras, you can get slightly higher detail on the zoom shots as well, but overall, there's not much of a major difference. The same goes for selfies. The new 12 megapixel front-facing camera has picture quality actually very close to the 40 megapixel camera on the previous S series Ultra phone, which to say they have good detail, colors, along with excellent edge detection and background blur, especially in portrait mode. The biggest improvement you will notice is in the overall video performance across the board, with improvements to video stabilization and also low light videography and photography, mainly when opting to shoot with no night mode active if you choose to want to capture your images in low light faster while producing better images at nighttime. Opt into the fact that you have quicker access to export RAW mode, which once installed is quickly accessible in the camera UI's More menu, making the experience of shooting RAW more seamless. Speaking of shooting RAW, you now have the option of shooting 50 megapixel RAW photos for even more flexibility and resolution when choosing to edit in a supported app like Lightroom. If you consider having the best video performance with features like usable 8K video, 4K video portrait mode, better video stabilization, improved low light photography, then a 1-year difference with the S23 Ultra might potentially be worth it. We would recommend usually still sticking with your S22 Ultra, but previous Note users from devices like the Note 10 Plus to the Note 20 Ultra, this is the camera upgrade you've been waiting for. The Galaxy S23 Ultra, or rather the entire S23 series in general, is amongst the first Samsung Galaxy devices to launch with One UI 5.1 running with Android 13. One UI 5.1 is debuting with the Galaxy S23 series and brings a number of new features and improvements. We highly recommend you watch our full breakdown of One UI 5.1 and what's new compared to One UI 5.0. That being said, one major intangible difference when using One UI 5.1 is definitely the improvement to the animation smoothness and consistency. After a long journey with One UI 5.0 beta down to the final release, as pleased as we were with the speed of the animations, we had almost accepted the nature of the beast that is One UI to potentially not get any smoother. That is not the case. One UI 5.1 brings the smoothest and most consistent animation experience ever on a Samsung flagship, and this is now for us the same level experience on an iPhone or Google Pixel device. This is a big win for Samsung and shows just how much they listen and care to bring the best software experience. Performance on the Galaxy S23 Ultra is so good, it's almost magical. I mean, it's one of only few phones to actually officially run the official Twitter app smoothly. I guess we have the combination of the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 mobile platform built for Galaxy to thank for, and the fast UFS 4.0 storage, the higher amount of RAM. This really puts an excellent performance on the S23 Ultra. I don't remember running into any stutter while navigating through the user interface, and everything from the app opening times to general navigation is honestly just top notch. Gaming performance is great too, and I didn't feel like the Snapdragon chip throttled at any time. Thanks to the better vapor cooling chamber, heat is pretty much not an issue. Yes, for long prolonged period of times you will feel some heat, but that's just down to the dissipation. Like obviously when you're using things like long recording and gaming, you will actually experience this. So yes, overall performance is phenomenal. Owners of 2022 Galaxy flagships, except for those actually who brought Galaxy variants with Exynos on their Galaxy S22, might not really notice it, but for us that used Exynos all these years, you will indeed notice the difference. The Galaxy S23 Ultra is the first Ultra phone from Samsung to proper take advantage of the 5000 mAh battery that was introduced with the S20 Ultra. Battery life on the S23 Ultra is absolutely fantastic and much better than anything we've seen from a Samsung flagship phone from before, even the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 powered Galaxy S22 Ultra. With screen on time upwards of 8.5 hours and total time since last charge up to a day and 20 hours on some days, the Galaxy S23 Ultra often had me staring in disbelief at the battery stats. At long last, it seems Samsung has made a flagship phone that you can take outdoors for an entire day without having to worry about running out of juice. The experience is even more noticeable for S-series users who have always been dealt the hand of Exynos, and also considering the fact that I was actually using this with 5G, QHD plus resolution enabled with 120Hz, this is impressive. However, the Galaxy S23 brings no change in charging speed. You still get 45-watt super fast charging 2.0 with the charger costing extra as there is no charger in the box. While the 45-watt charging is enough by itself considering the charge times from 0 to 100 can be as quick as 58 minutes, we would like to see Samsung move to 65-watt, allowing for a full charge in 40 to 45 minutes while potentially dubbing it super fast charging 3.0. Fingers crossed. The verdict is a short one. The Galaxy S23 Ultra is an amazing phone, and if you can afford it or you are getting a nice exchange deal, you should pretty much buy it. Overall, this is the best phone Samsung have created in a long time, and never before has it been easy to recommend a Galaxy flagship. What's your thoughts and experience with the Galaxy S23 Ultra so far? Let us know in the comment section below. For the latest news in the world of Samsung Daily, be sure to visit us at soundmobile.com. And for the latest videos on YouTube with Sound Mobile TV, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications, and we will see you next time.